So the reality of dealing with trauma is that we have to get to a point that we're able to fully speak about it, because if we're not able to speak about what happened to us, then it can't be healed. It's like anything that, you know, that's happened that's really been painful, and particularly in childhood, the period of our childhood, then it means that we're just going around in circles. And I cannot tell you how difficult I found not being able to speak my truth in my own life to, you know, family members, and being completely segregated as a result of just not being able to say simply what happened to me, or my own subjective experience of what happened during my childhood. And that basically caused a lot of separation. And I feel that without friends, you know, the healing process, without people that get us, the healing process becomes a lot harder. And if we don't have the right people around us, then we'll do a lot of dissociation, or maybe do things that aren't good for us. I used to drink, for instance, and I know that, you know, many people use alcohol as a escape route out of feeling their emotions. The same with smoking. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I used to use those as a get out clause, you know, like sitting there just puffing away. And people do it with food as well. And it's basically so tough when we can't express and be heard, because we need that nurture in order to heal. And we can't just give it all to ourselves. We do need other souls that understand the complications of sexual abuse or violence as a child and stuff like that. The environment that we're in is going to be really important to us as well, and how we deal with that. And I understand the impossibilities for some people, you know, like if some people are married and they're in a relationship where it's abusive and they've got children, and then on top of that, they're trying to heal their original wound, it's almost going to feel like an impossible task. And some of it will be geographics and money related. You know, it would be very easy, like if we could pluck ourselves out of life, take 6 months off and really work on what is our core wound in as a child. For me, it was abandonment, loss and betrayal. And, you know, it's taken me up until having a breakdown in 2012, stopping drinking, and then having a breakdown 4 years later, when I really got to grips with my pain and my feelings, and how long that took, and the process, you know, of not having anybody to speak to, but then coming into myself and then starting writing about it on social media. And then from there going into helping other people and speaking openly and having no shame, because there's a lot of toxic shame around speaking up. You know, you're supposed to be over it, or you're supposed to have let it go, or you're supposed to forgive the people that, you know, abused you. And this is very harsh what I'm going to say now, but I saw somebody write, you know, how do I forgive my father for raping me 500 times in my life? You know, what we really ask too much of each other sometimes, and that would be the people that have not been through abuse, who completely don't understand what's going on. And if we look at what's going on in the Catholic Church over the last week that I've heard, I don't watch the news, so I'm only hearing this through people and then a few articles I looked at, that all of those people that, you know, have been betrayed, you know, on a spiritual level, that we look to a God, you know, as human beings, we often look to a God being outside us, or a savior, and that's been completely ruined for so many people by priests or whoever, you know, interfering with children, sexually abusing them. And I would even go as far as calling it rape. I mean, what is the difference between, you know, sexual abuse and rape in reality? It's very harsh, and it's very real, and it does damage people, and it's not something people just get over. And it affects many different areas of life. It can affect one's own sexuality. It can affect one's concentration, because when one has complex PTSD, the prefrontal cortex shuts down, you know, that part that manages our daily lives, and it takes away our joy. So as people speak up and allow others to speak up, then the wound, it's a world wound. It's not just the wound of what's going on in families, and it's basically the entirety of the complete world. And those who've not been through sexual abuse or been abused, you know, we're all part of it. We're all connected. So we can't separate people and make them wrong for having been through trauma and trying to shut them down, or spiritual bypassing that goes on. You know, I have so much to say on this subject, and just watching my own development and growth. I've been lucky that, in the sense that through my spiritual studies that I've been doing and reading teachers and Carl Jung and Pete Walker, complex PTSD, you know, my spirituality, I understand I have a soul, and that my soul needs to be nurtured. And I've been very lucky that I can, you know, I've been able to connect with these books, and being able to objectify my own experience, and then having a few people around me that have got me and allowed me to speak. So what do I say? There's so much to say on this subject. I think what I would like to do, if anybody is watching this and they want to come on live with me on YouTube, that's what I'm hoping to do, because I think that people need to be able to voice and to be able to explore the reality of what sexual abuse or violence has done to them as children. And in that, we're going to help other people know that they're safe to speak up, and that it's actually going to spread out and make the world a better place. So, short video, but the good news is that we can begin to heal, and it's not an easy path, but it can happen bit by bit and day by day. Thanks for listening.